about things that I've personally experienced because it's much easier for me to speak on something that I've gone through and something that I've done. And so as I'm as I'm living life and I'm just experiencing things, I'm like, wow, this is something that I could talk about, and this pertains to something that I've experienced. And so today I want to talk about the awareness around the minimums that we require in our life and how to take the current way that we're showing up in different areas of our life and take our minimum and raise the bar, set the standards, set new standards for ourselves in different areas of our life. And first, you have to be aware that you're capable of doing that. So many times, you guys, I was around a lot of people over the last week and tons of people having lots of conversations. And what sparked me to want to do this training was listening to people talk to me and tell me who they thought they were. And it kills me because I want to help everybody. I want to talk to everybody and tell them that just because you think your mind tells you that's who you are, that doesn't mean that's who you have to be. And so I would hear things like, "Oh, I'm not blank kind of person," or "I'm not this," or "I'm not good at this," or I am this person. I am this kind of person. And they're often things that are not empowering. Like they're not things that you are like, yeah, this makes me a greater person because of this. It's usually a limitation. And I'm sitting there and I'm hearing people and they don't even know they're doing it. And I'm like, and I want to coach them because that's my natural like response is to want to help them and be like, "Oh, guess what?" And sometimes I do. Sometimes I step in depending on my relationship with the person. Sometimes I'll step in and I will say something. I'll be like, is that something that if you had a magic wand, would you change that if you could? And if they say yes, then I'm like, "Okay, well, you can. You don't have to be that person that blank that isn't good at this or doesn't like to talk to people or doesn't feel confident or you don't have to be that version of you." And so I want you guys to think of how many times a day do you tell somebody who you are, but it's technically it's a limit to you. How many times do we do that throughout our day? I want you guys to get so aware of doing this that you can catch it and you can reframe it and we can create a new standard for yourself because the things that you say about yourself is what is going to create your reality. I can look at somebody's life and how their life unfolds and I can pretty much kind of identify what beliefs they hold based off of what their reality looks like because the way that your reality is unfolding is based off of the beliefs that you hold from within. And the beliefs that you have for yourself is what's going to set your standards of what you will and will not accept for every area in your life. So it's interesting because life isn't it's not luck, it's literally a conscious internal creation that you have full control of on the inside. Obviously, there's some things that we cannot control, but the majority of how we show up is all within our control and it's all based off of our beliefs. And so I want to pass this power over to you. I want you guys to feel so powerful that you can go out and create absolutely anything that you desire in this life. And I love talking about this because I've done it. So I know it's possible. That's what I love about it is because it's not something that I'm like reading in a book and then I want to come teach you. Like I've legitimately watched the transformations that I've created in every area of my life and I know the process. I know what it takes to go from here to here to here to here to here and just keep creating new places. I never want to be in the same place forever. Like I don't ever want to even this current version of who I am, even though I'm grateful, I don't want to stay this version of me. I want to keep trying to upgrade as many times as I possibly can. Not for some sense of like like I have to go prove myself to someone or something, but because I just genuinely am curious about what it's possible. Because if I'm going to be alive, and you guys have probably heard me talk about this before, I want you guys to get curious about your own potential. Why would you not be curious? It's like having your kid, you know? Do you want your kid to go out there and be the best they can be so they can go dim everybody else's light? Or do you want your kid to go out there and be the best they can be because you're just curious? Like, what are you capable of, baby? Like, if you're going to be alive, let's help you become the greatest version of yourself because you love your child so much. You want them to fully optimize their potential. And that's how you have to look at it with you is I love me so much and I'm so grateful to be alive. And I want to honor this gift that I was given from God to live in this human body and have this human experience. That I'm going to go out and I'm going to make the absolute best of it because why not? It takes this same effort to sit there and not make the best of it and be sad and have emotions of shame and guilt and defeat and pain and suffering and regret and resentment and anger and frustration. That sucks. So why would you not go out and just make the best of it? Because it's fun and it's exciting and it's something new and you're honoring your life on this planet. Like those are the types of beliefs that you have to kind of learn to tap into. And so I want to make you aware of this because I want you to understand that you're purely, me and you are purely just a a canvas walking around waiting to be painted and this a story to be written and there's nothing set for us. There's nothing set for you based off of your past. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't care what you went through. I don't care what you experienced. I don't care and I don't care about anything in your past other because none of that can have a hold on you unless you let it. None of it. Now, it be there the illusion is there with the mind that it does still have control, but the reality is it doesn't. And I know this because I've been sexually abused at the age of 5. I've got had, my parents abandon me when I was young. I was angry at them for a long time. That was a really interesting one for me. I used to hold the belief that my parents, if the two human beings that were supposed to love me the absolute most, weren't there for me, then how could I trust anyone else? That's a belief I used to hold. So when I was in relationships, I was the problem. I would leave people. I actually had a few really great people in my life when I was younger in my 20s and great men, great people. And I left them because I had trust issues. And I was like, if my parents did it, and I would always tell them the same thing. They were like, Brooke, I want to like spend my life with you. And I was like, that's not possible. I was like, if there's no way that you can care about me that much, that's not possible. So I would leave people. And, if good people. I felt bad about it. A lot of them are like remarried and happy now, which is great. But that was because I had a belief that if my parents didn't have my back and they didn't protect me at such a young age, then how could anybody love me? How could anybody love me? How could anybody care about me? And so that was there's so many beliefs, you guys. Oh my gosh, when I'm like they're all like they're flooding my mind right now, how many beliefs I've had in my past that I no longer carry. And so I don't believe that anymore. I believe now that my parents were human beings who had their own struggles and their own hardships and they went through what they went through to formulate their own beliefs. And because of their unconsciousness, their inability to be aware, because nobody taught them how to be conscious, they operated off of sets of beliefs and programs. And that's just how their life unfolded. And I have forgiven them for that because they're human beings. They're my parents, but they're humans. And we all are all going through our own journeys on this planet. And I'm in full acceptance of that. And so now, because I've released that belief, I've forgiven them. I have a beautiful relationship with my favorite human in the entire world. A lot of beliefs that my reality has shifted very much because of how I changed that belief. So I That's how interesting it is on how our life is unfolding and how we're making decisions all the time through how we're navigating this experience just through what we believe. And there a lot of the times they just show up, like the belief just comes out of your mouth like, "Oh, this is who I am." And like you don't even know that you're carrying around this belief, and sometimes they're so heavy and you don't even know it because the weight that they're putting on you because of the butterfly effect of what's going to happen from that belief. I mean, it's wild how this works. That's why they say change your thoughts, change your life. And so when they say change your thoughts, that means you have to literally be so aware of how your brain is programmed that you can catch stuff. And so I try to catch things like I notice things like my awareness is I've been working on this for a few years. So they're there's a there, this is why meditation is so important. So for the last 10 years, I just celebrated 10 years sober. So for the last 10 years, I got into mindset work at the beginning, and I was doing some mindset stuff, and I was retraining a lot of my habits, and I was retraining a lot of my day-to-day activities. That's what I started with. I started with what do I eat? What do I, how do I move my body? All of that. And then I really got into the spiritual side of life. That's when I reconnected with God. About 3 years ago, I really reconnected, and that reconnection came from a shift in a belief because I had abandoned my relationship with Source, with God, when I was about 12 years old, 10, 12 years old, because I was like, you know what I believe? I believe that if God was real, why would he ever let any of the things that happen to me happen to me? There's no way that God or somebody, a higher power out there could be real if these things happen to me, because who would let that happen if God loves me so much? And that's what I felt, and that's the belief I created, and that's what I carried. And so I reconnected about 3 years, yeah, so 3 years ago, like strong reconnection to my higher power, and was like, wow, you know what? This is and that's what that opened up a whole new level of awareness and compassion and gratitude and so much more for life. But that was a belief that I carried for so long. And so I want to make you aware of these things, and the one of the things that helps me to work on my awareness is my meditation. So that's where meditation, you guys, just to clear this up, meditation is the act of you sitting somewhere silent. It's not that you're not trying to think thoughts, it's that you're just bringing yourself back to your breath. So every time you are getting pulled over to the side and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I'm going to focus on my breath, into the nose, out of the mouth, and you're just going, in my head sometimes I'll go in, out, well, in my head, and I'm just following my breath, following my breath. And next thing I know, I'm thinking about the grocery order that I have to get, and I'm like, oh shoot, I got distracted. And then I'm like, back to my breath. And then I'm breathing in, out, and I'm focused on my breath again. And next thing I know, I get distracted. And so meditation is just the act of, it's a repetition of you strengthening your ability to say, I'm not going to focus on that. I decide where I focus. It's you consciously moving your awareness back to your breath, back to your breath, back to your breath. And that's why, and you guys, I've been meditating every single day. David and I, we do about 90 minutes of breath work and yoga and meditation every single morning before I do anything. That's why I will not do calls before like 10 a.m. because I am centering myself and I am working on me so I can go out and be the best version of myself. And so, because right, the work that we do on ourselves is our gift to the world. It's really important that we know that. So that is what you're working on. So when you're meditating, no, you are not going to not get pulled away for a long time. Like I've been doing this for 3 years and I still get pulled away. And some days are worse than others. And when, not worse, but like some days are louder than others. Like my mind is really loud and it's very attractive for me to go follow my thoughts because I'm like, ooh, I really want to think about this. Like I really want to sometimes I'm planning a trip or, whatever my mind wants to take me there. And so it's just the discipline of returning yourself to, I choose what I focus on, because where focus goes, energy flows. So you have to remember that where I choose to put my awareness is where I choose, because you're not your mind, you guys, everybody. I have you guys understand, like, I need you guys to to process this, okay? You're not your mind. You have a mind. You're the consciousness witnessing the thoughts. That's why you can hear yourself talk in your head. You're not the mind. That is a little program, little computer that's inside of this body that it has its own sets of programming. And sometimes your mind, that's why they say your mind, just because you think it doesn't mean that it's true. And it's true. My mind has sent stuff that's just repeating old data, old programming for that it's received from the past. But consciously, I look at that and I'm like, I don't believe that. That's not me. That's not me. Me consciously doesn't believe something my mind said. And that's happened a lot. And that's where you have to, this is where your identification of where you have to focus on, of what needs your attention because it needs to be reprogrammed. This is what you have to get good at. So when you find yourself very resistant to something, that's something you might want to pay attention to. If you find yourself being like, oh, I really don't want to do that, or I hate that, or something that you feel a strong aversion to, that's something to really pay attention to. Because in a way, you guys, that thing that you have this strong resistance to has a level of control over you. And so I got to the point a couple of years ago where I was like, I don't really want anything to have control over me. Like, I don't want to hate something or just disgust something because I don't want to be controlled because I am in control. And so you got to think like if you're, then and I have these conversations with my kids because when my kids are, they're like, oh, simple things, like, oh, I hate bees. And I'm like, okay, first of all, this is a lot to unpack, okay? Because bees make the world go around. First of all, okay? Second of all, if God put them on this planet, then there's a reason for it. And third of all, every time my kids are around bees, which is part of this, like, that's part of the human experience, they freak out. And I'm like, do you really want to go through the rest of I mean, bro, you're 8. Like, you're going to be around a lot of bees. Like, do you really want to go through the rest of your life, like, having this around a bee? Like, baby. And so, like, so I'm having these types of conversations, but these are conversations that you want to have with yourself. Like, wow, do I really want to allow that thing, that whatever it is, to have this much control over me? So that's one thing that you want to be aware of, that you want to question, like, what's my belief around this? Okay. Another area is when your mind gets loud around another human being, whether it's judgment or it has something to say about another person. Why is my mind all of a sudden getting louder around this person? And you want to be it's just you want to be curious of these things. Like, I'm always so curious. I'm like, this is really interesting. Like, and we can't lie about this because I know, and I'm not going to lie to you. I'll be honest with you. There are certain human beings that trigger my mind, and my mind all of a sudden is like, kind of has something to say. This is why social media is so interesting, and this is why, some people make you feel more comfortable or different on social media or in person. It's because you have a certain set of beliefs or programming around how you interpret people. So I'm in a place in my life where I'm trying to remove all separation between me and all other humans. But it's really not easy because my set of programming accepts different people better than others. And so, but I'm trying to remove those layers because I know to be reconnected, like truly, fully, to see zero separation is for me to remove all of those barriers and to see every single person on this planet as myself. And that's hard. Like, that's really hard to do, but that's a belief that I believe. I believe that every single person and me are the same. That is what I believe, but my mind hasn't fully caught up yet. And so I'm still trying to reprogram. And so that's one thing on its own. So that's another area that you want to be aware of. Like, my mind gets really loud around this person. Why is my mind loud around this person? Interesting, right? So these are times that you just want to question, what are my beliefs behind this? Okay. So if we break down different areas of life, we break down nutrition, we break down money, we break down relationships, we break down health, we break down your self-leadership. what are the beliefs that you have around these things? Okay. And I'll just lend you a couple of mine just to ponder on, just to give you a different perspective. And then I want you guys to create your own beliefs around these things. So, nutrition, look, it's really funny because I have conversations with people. This was one conversation I had with multiple people while we were gone. Is we're sitting there and I eat a certain way. Everybody knows pretty much that I eat a certain way. I don't put poison in my body. And so people will sit there and they'll tell me, they're like, oh, I'm a foodie. I just really love food. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, all right, look, I don't think you understand. I went to culinary school. Like me being a head chef one day was like my dream. I broke up with a guy one time because he didn't love food as much as I did. Like I legitimately was like, bro, this isn't gonna work. And he was like, what? And he was a great guy. And I was like, dude, it's not possible for me and you to have a relationship together when my favorite thing on this planet you don't enjoy. Like, I don't know how we're gonna get through the years because I used to literally live to eat. Like, I was so, that was my life. I was like, I am on this planet solely to eat food. Like, that was a belief that I carried. So when people look at me and they're like, it's just so hard for me because I'm a foodie. I'm like, I don't think you understand my past. I don't think you understand who I was. There was a point in time where, I was a wedding planner for everybody that knows for 9 years. And I did about 120 weddings a year. And then I did like 30, 40 corporate events on top of that a year. So I was doing about 150 events a year. And I did that for 9 years. And every single event I ate from the dessert bar. Every single one. And the cool part about being the coordinator, that was me, was everybody delivered everything to me ahead of time. And I got to put stuff out. I mean, I could have assigned it to somebody else, but why would I do that when it's right there in front of me and I can just put it right in my mouth? So I ate every single dessert. It wasn't possible for me to let a dessert go by and not know what it tasted like. Like that's what it felt like. I was like, I don't think I can continue my next breath if I don't know what this little cannoli tastes like. Like I have to know. Like that's like that. Like this was deep, you guys. And so now I'm at this point in my life where if it's not healthy, then it's just not going in my body. And at this point, there's no FOMO around it. I have no emotional connection to food anymore. Now, if you guys watch what I eat, I make delicious things and I make it, it's yummy. Everybody's always happy, like, wow, this is so good. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't eat crap. Like I like things to taste good in my mouth. It's just the requisite now, it has to first be healthy and then I'm gonna make it good. But sometimes there's been moments where I'm just like in a rush and I just got to get something in my body that I know is gonna nourish me. Is it the most fun? Is it the most delicious? No, but is it nourishing me? Yes. And so the the visual, just to give you guys an idea, because we're all adults here, is this is what it feels like for me. Like if I see, let's say, like a molten lava chocolate cake, which those used to be my jam, and I can look at that and be like, wow, that's such a beautiful cake. And I've tasted them before. I know how amazing they are. But if I know the ingredients are awful, it's like going to date someone and they're smoking hot on the outside, and then you hear that they're disrespectful to their mother or to like a waitress or somebody, and you're like, ugh, like on the outside, you're great, but on the inside, I'm just no. Like it literally is like a like complete turn off. I'm like, me, like nothing. That's what food feels like for me now. If it's not, or if they stink, that's funny, Michelle. So, or that's what it feels like though, like complete immediate turn off. And so that is that is a I have something to say about that, Michelle. We'll have to talk about that, about the scent of how you interpret another being's scent actually has something to say about your compatibility. But anyways, that's a whole other thing. So the the that's how I feel about food. So I just want you guys to know, like, it's possible to take a current belief about one that you feel is so deeply rooted that you can literally go to the complete other side. And what I've noticed, you guys, is the answer is never all the way over here and it's never all the way over there. It's now in the middle. And I found that actually balance recently because there was a year where David and I really weren't traveling right before we came into Vital Health. Like we kind of took a year off because we for 6 years we really travel like every month, like a lot. And so we kind of took a year off, and during that year, I didn't eat out one time. Like I cooked every single meal in my home because I just don't really trust food out there. Like it's public meat. I don't know what type of oils they're using. I mean, I do, and it's crap. They're seed oils. Their food's not organic. I'm like, and I've worked in restaurants, and I'm like, why would I go somewhere to pay more when I can nourish myself in my home? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. So I didn't eat out for an entire year. And so then we had to start traveling again, and we kind of started traveling, and so we would go places, and I would get Airbnbs, and I would bring my own pan, and I would ship my meat with me, like my frozen ancestral bison I would bring and cook. But now we've gotten to the place where we're moving around so much, like we're traveling so much, and we're in hotels, and we're like here and there. Like I have had to like kind of surrender and just do the best I can when I get there. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just get the best steak you have, or let me get a salad, even though I know it's not organic. But what if, like, at this point, I'm stuck. Am I just not going to eat for a week and a half? So I've had to accept that I can't live all the way here, which is I don't put anything in my body ever, because now it's just an Hermosillo for the week. And what did I eat? I ate steak every day, and I ate tons of vegetables. But I know those vegetables were not organic. But what am I going to do? You know what I'm saying? So that is the shifts that you have to make. But again, the answer is not here, and the answer is not there, because me cooking every single meal for the rest of my life is not sustainable as well. So it's like, okay, where can I find the balance? Did I eat the cakes and crap and bread and stuff over there? No, because that's not going in my body. But I did the absolute best with what was available. Okay, so next is your relationship with money. Okay. What does that look like for you? What does your belief around what are your beliefs around money? And now I've never ever I've never had a belief around money that I shouldn't have it. Mine has actually always been the complete opposite. I've always been like, I should have tons of money. Like I've had that belief since I was really young. It started because my mom and me were in a lot of dangerous, unhealthy situations, and we couldn't get out of them because we didn't have money. So around 8 years old, I had made the decision that I will never, ever, ever, ever let a man control my finances, and I will never not have money of my own. Like that, though, that belief was instilled really young. So I started working at 12 years old. I started working at a custard shop. My grandma was the manager. So I was crushing it, you guys. Like I was getting paid like, oh my gosh, I was getting paid like $11 an hour at 12 years old, 20 years ago. And I saved all of that money. So then at 12, I was working under the table, so I got to save all of it, no taxes. And then when I turned, I can't remember, it was like 14, I thought you could get a worker's permit. Immediately went and got my worker's permit so I could start getting paid actually. And then from there, I always had 2 to 3 jobs. Always. I filled every single moment of my time with working from a young age. I had like $10,000 saved by the time I was 17. I actually loaned my ex-husband 7,000 to go buy a motorcycle, long story short. But that he ended up getting scammed on. But that's how much money I had that I had saved because I was so afraid of not being able to protect myself, because I connected money with security and safety. Even though now I don't believe that security and safety comes from money, but I believe it's an internal experience. But it's a blend, right? That's the soul and the human experience kind of coming together. But the belief was that, so I've always had money. And so, people have joked that I'm like a little leprechaun because I just like save it. Like I get it and I save it. Now I'm at the point in my life where I'm ready to take the money that I've saved, and David and I want to open a homestead so we can pour into people, and people can come on our property and do healing practices, and my children can grow up looking at their food being grown and pulling it off of the plants, and like that's the next step. But I need you guys to identify the beliefs that you have around money. The big holdback that I had around money though is that because I would collect it and I was so afraid to release it anywhere, I sucked at sharing it. So when David and I got together, he was like, he's Puerto Rican and his family is very like like everything is everyone's. Okay, I didn't grow up like that. Everything is mine. You have your stuff, I have my stuff. And so when we got together, I had to learn. We would go out to dinner and he's like, oh, we'll get the check. And I'm like, what? I'm like, we're not itemizing it. Like, I'm not buying their stuff. And he's like, what? Because that's how my family is. When we go out, like it's always been like that. When we it's to the point where if we go over to dinner and one of my family members buys or like cooking dinner, they're like, oh, stop by the grocery store and pick up your own like meat. Like you're coming with you better be coming with what you want to eat because nobody's just going to hand it to you. No one's just going to give you free food, So that's how I was programmed. So I'm like, wait, what is happening? Like I was so confused and shocked and like, so I had to like reframe and like program because I only knew one way. And so now we have now merged and now everything makes more sense. I'm like, oh, we share. That is normal. Sharing is normal. So this is all about what you're normalizing and how you're going to normalize these areas based off of what you believe. Like your relationships, what type of normal are you creating for your relationship? There was a version of me that felt like I had to change David. And when we were together, like it was always like in the beginning, one day I'll do a whole thing on David and I's relationship because it has transformed and transformed and transformed and just continued to blossom into like something that's like I never even knew was possible. And I'm so grateful. But in the beginning, y'all, it was hard. It was hard. It was rocky. It was confusing. It was the only thing that kept us together is we knew for sure like we loved each other, but everything else felt hard for a while. And so one of the things was like I used to always point at him and want him to change. And I'm like, well, you have to change A, B, C, and D. You have to change. And then I realized that I'm like, oh my gosh, if I need to focus on me, what can I change? And so I shifted that belief of like, if this relationship is going to grow and become better, it's going to start with me. And so I that's what I started focusing on. And so that was a huge change. I just looked at the time and realized that we're running out of time and I have more to say about the end of this. So I got to be faster. So health, this is another area that you want to focus on. What beliefs do you have for your health? Okay. Again, I highly recommend adopting the belief that you're just genuinely curious of what you're capable of. Like in every area of your health. How flexible can I become? How much endurance can I create? How strong can I become? Like, what is this thing like capable of? Besides the limitations my mind is placing on me, what am I capable of? So when your mind goes to place these limits, it's like, sure. That's why when I used to do personal training, I would train my clients and they would go to pick up a weight and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. And like, I don't want people to get hurt, but I'm like, okay, we're not shoulder pressing 5 pounds. Okay. Like we got to at least get a 10, like but the reason they picked up a super low weight was because their mind immediately limited them, immediately was like, no. So I want you to do something every single day that wows you. Like if you're moving your body, do something that wows you. Push yourself. If your mind goes to tells you to stop, go for 1 extra minute. Do 1 extra rep. Like if you go to the gym with me, you best believe we're going to push some limits that day. And again, I don't want you to get hurt. I just want you to push a tiny bit past what you think you're capable of. David Goggins says it's best. He says, once you get to 60%, once you think that you're done, you still have 40% more in you. You have more in you when you think you're done. And that's why people, like, let's say David Goggins, that he's a great example of what it looks like to completely push past what the mind says. And I want you guys to check him out. He's really intense, but he's really fun to listen from and look at his experiences because that man has run 100-mile marathons where he broke his feet. I don't remember how many miles into it, but I think he had like 20 miles to go with broken feet and he continued. Do you think, and this was like 10 years ago, do you think that your mind would have told you to stop the moment? My mind probably would have been like, beep, we're going to stop before the feet even broke. Like, hey, things hurt. It's hurting down there a lot. And then they broke and then he continued. And so I'm not telling you to do anything to that extreme. I just want you to know what is actually possible. So for those last 20 miles, while he was in excruciating pain and his mind was like it's not possible for us to continue. He consciously made it to where he continued and finished. So all I'm saying is that when your mind will always stop you sooner than you should actually or could actually stop. Like you don't have to stop there. So if you're in the gym and let's say you're like, today I'm going to challenge myself to do 30 push-ups. When you're going and you're getting tired, do 31, do 32. I want you to get so aware of when your mind tells you something that do things literally just because your mind doesn't want you to. I love doing that. I used to hate the cold. Like I despised cold water. I didn't like being in the cold. I didn't like it. And then I finally decided that it had too much control over me. And I just had this moment where I was like, I'm not going to allow the cold weather or water to have that level of control over me. Like I'm over it. Like I'm tired from it. I'm exhausted from it because we have seasons in Texas and I grew up in Virginia. So, multiple months out of the year, I was suffering. And I'm like, I am spending way too much energy resisting something that is, and this doesn't make any sense. This is dumb. So I was like, that's it. I'm going to like it. And so David and I started taking cold showers. And you guys, the thing that pushed me into the shower every single day was my stubbornness to refuse to allow something to have control of me. I was like, you will not. Just because, mind, you don't want to do it, that's why we're doing this. And it pushed me every single morning. And I eventually actually really craved cold showers. I can't do them in the summer because the water gets too hot. It literally is like lukewarm. And I'm like, ugh. So I actually look forward to the winter because it gives me a time to train myself and to push myself and to tell my mind, you don't get to choose. I choose every single time. And so creating that relationship with your mind, I want you to look at that relationship with your mind like that. Like you don't get to choose. The mind is an awful master, awful, but it's an amazing servant. So you have to always make sure that your mind is checked and it knows that it's the servant. It is not the master. Your consciousness, your conscious being is the master. And it's really easy to let it slip and get it, and it wiggles its way into the master position. Okay. So don't think that you suck at this, or don't think that you're not as strong, or don't think that you're not as resilient, or don't think that you don't hold the power. It's a process. Like it is a super process to reposition that because the mind is so powerful. It's extremely powered and it should be honored. It's awesome, but it is not meant to be in the driver's seat. Okay. And then your self leadership, this is where you have to identify your beliefs around your self leadership and what you're willing, your minimum of what you're willing to tolerate and what you're willing to get through your day with. Are you willing to go through a day with anything less than 10 minutes of personal development? Are you willing to wake up in the morning and get on your social media before you program yourself or before you center yourself? I'm telling you right now, you guys, this is the one of the most important things that I can tell you. Do not allow anything outside of your own programming of choice into your mind first thing in the morning. You are so vulnerable. It will set the tone for your entire day. It'll wreck your day. You get on social media first thing in the morning and you see one post that your little computer doesn't like, it has resistance to. You see one person post something that doesn't feel good, and I promise you, it will energetically shift the rest of how your day unfolds. I promise you. I know because I've experimented with it and it's dramatically different. So when I wake up in the morning, I'll get on my Duolingo because that's a healthy dopamine hit. I'm like, ooh, I'm learning Spanish, which is actually progressing, you guys. About 600 days in, and I can actually carry a small, tiny conversation now, which is exciting. So that's a small, healthy dopamine hit. So if you've been doing Duolingo, don't give up. Keep going. Find me on Duolingo so we can be friends. We can have a little key accountability on there. But I wake up and I do that first thing in the morning. Then I come and I meditate and I do my yoga. Okay. So that is important. So I want you guys to understand that your motivation is going to fade. That's normal. And this is where you just keep reminding yourself of your beliefs and you're instilling systems into your life. That is how you're going to make these things stick. So, like when I got sober, I also had to quit smoking. So, I had smoked a pack of Marlboro menthols from 13 years old till I was 25. You know what I'm saying? So quitting a habit like smoking is super hard because if you smoked ever in your life, you can smoke everywhere. You smoke in the car, you smoke when you wake up, you smoke when you go to sleep, you smoke after a meal. There was a huge chunk of that time where I could smoke in restaurants. So, I mean, like taking a habit that you're used to doing, like all day, like regularly, 20 cigarettes come in a pack. So 20 times a day, I'm used to smoking. Breaking that habit was intense. And so one of the things that I did to break it was I carried around what are those seeds? The little seeds, the little not pumpkin seeds, not sesame seeds. I can't think of it. You guys type in the chat. I know one of y'all are gonna come save me. Save me. Sunflower seeds. Okay. Thank you. Like save me. Sunflower seeds. They saved me. I carried around, you guys, I was eating so many sunflower seeds. And so when I would go to parties, I had to have systems for myself so I wouldn't fall back into old habits. So I had gum, I had sunflower seeds, and I brought food. So at that time, I was still eating like cookies and crap. So I would bring things that when people wanted to drink and were like, because I was still around some people sometimes that drank and smoked. And so I had my system and I was like, this is my system. And so when I wanted to instill working out, I would schedule my workouts on Sunday and I would say, these are the days I'm working out. Never wait until be like, oh, I want to work out this week. Let's see when I feel like working out. That's not going to happen. Okay. You have to schedule the time because the day's going to come and you're going to be like, I don't feel like it. I'll do it tomorrow. But if you go into it with a decision, you guys, like my yoga, sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, sometimes I don't want to do my yoga in the morning because it takes an hour to do that yoga. And so I have to decide first thing, like the night before, I decide tomorrow, I don't care what's going on, I'm 100% doing my yoga. So I meditate every single day, and probably about 4 or 5 days out of the week, I do my yoga. So I have to decide the day before I'm doing my yoga tomorrow and I decide it. So when the morning comes, I already know, like I've already decided I am doing my yoga today and nothing is going to stop me from doing that because excuses, you guys, it's easy for your mind to create excuses, okay? So I want you guys to create systems around these things of whether it's money, whether you're saving a certain amount of money at a time. I eventually had to separate my banks because I had my money in one bank that when I would use all my money, it would go into my savings and then it would overdraft. So when I was like 20, I was using all my money in that bank. And so I switched jobs. I was making like $1,000 a week, and then I went to being a person that worked in the wedding place before I started doing the weddings, so coordinating them. I would set up the tables and the chairs, and I had shifted careers. I was like, all right, I'm gonna get out of this nightlife party scene, and I'm gonna go start a career. Well, they didn't pay very well, so that was really hard. And the guy that took my ex that took my 7,000, he never paid me back. And so I went through this little lull where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm making the least amount of money I've ever made, and I wasn't allowed to have a second or third job. She told me, no, I need you 100% focused here. So I could only have one job. I didn't get paid back, and I didn't have a lot of money, and I was struggling. And I was dating a new guy that he didn't have his own money, so I was paying for him too. So I went through this experience where I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I've never been in this situation before and I couldn't make enough money. And so I was struggling to save it at that time. So I created a whole new bank account at a completely different bank that I didn't have access to. I didn't log in. I didn't get the login information. I didn't take a card. The only way I could go to that bank or get money is if I went to that bank physically, which I never had time to do because I was freaking working. And so it worked. So I was like, oh, okay. So I ended up saving money in that bank all over again. And then I started, coordinating and hosting the events, and that completely changed. But that's what you have to do. You have to set up systems for your life of how you're going to match this new standard that you're going to set for yourself based off of your new beliefs, and then what systems can you create to support that, okay? And remember, you guys, I'm going to leave you guys with this. When you're going to create this new version of yourself and you're going to step into this new version of yourself, anytime you hear something limiting in your mind of what it takes to get to that place, always just be questioning yourself, who's the person I have to become to get there? Never allow the limits to come in and limit you. It's always a question of what has to change? Who do I have to become? What do I have to believe to get there? Because there's nothing special about anybody on this planet that's created whatever it is that you look at them and like, wow, they created that. There's nothing special about them other than the fact that they just chose to create new beliefs and create new systems and to install it. That's it. And I know that for a fact because I've done it and I've watched my life dramatically change with those two things. Shifting beliefs, identifying that you want to change an area, shifting the belief, installing a system, and you just do that over and over and over and over and over again. And you just keep reassessing, like, oh, let me go in here and reassess this. It's like when the new iPhone comes out, right? When a new iPhone comes out, all they're doing is looking at the old, outdated stuff, finding a new way to improve it, rewiring, reprogramming, redoing some stuff, and then releasing it. That's it. And it's so simple. And you can do that. It's not simple. It is simple. It's actually quite simple. It's just not easy. But you can do that over and over and over and over again. And I want you guys to believe that, carry that belief, repeat that to yourself that I want to reprogram myself as many times as possible just because how many versions of me are available? Let's see what is possible. And your kids can do that. You can do that. You can promote other people to do that. I want you guys to know that this is possible. So I have to go because I've kept you guys forever and I'm so sorry. I love you so much and I appreciate you guys so much. You guys are amazing human beings and I'm just I'm truly honored to be here with every single one of you. I love you guys dearly and I hope you guys have an amazing